Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick.
I'm Ian.
Today we're doing something that I think we've kind of done before previously, but we're kind of doing another version of this where we're going to just talk about some artists and some bands that we've recently kind of gotten into. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlist we put together, and also the Patreon page. So make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoy the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So I'm somebody that's always looking for new artists, new music to listen to. I'm somebody, and I'm not trying to kind of bash on anyone out there that does this, but I'm not one of those people that just listens to the same group of bands or albums that I've listened to for the last, 30, 40 years. Obviously I still listen to a lot of that stuff, but right. I'm also kind of looking for new and interesting stuff. Every time, one of my favorite things to do when I go to the record store is, I like peeking over people's shoulders and see what kind of stuff they're picking up. Because a lot of the times I'm like, well, what the hell is that? And then I kind of get into, okay, so checking out this band or other bands and kind of, like I said, just kind of broadening my musical horizons. Always on the lookout for some great stuff. So I will say that, make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know what some of your favorite newer musicians are, because I'd love to check out some new stuff. But anyway, we got a couple we're going to go over. The first one is somebody that, I'd heard of, really probably over the last, maybe 2.5 years. Previously, he did, I think this is the album I'm going to talk about. I think this is his 5th or 6th album, but everything previously has all been very kind of, kind of rap based, hip hop based. There's a lot of different influences in the stuff he did previously. And then his new album, which just came out late last year, the album is In Loving Memory. This is the artist is Blackbear. This is a very punk rock album. So if you're into the Machine Gun Kelly, Mod Sun, that kind of Youngblood is another great one that definitely has kind of come up and is doing a lot of that new punk rock. This is definitely an album you should check out. I mean, this just came out on vinyl, but I've had the CD now for probably a couple of months. I think it came out late last year, and really it's been playing nonstop in my car. At least the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's been nonstop. But it's just a great album from beginning to end. Like I said, if you're a fan of that newer kind of punk rock, it's definitely an album to check out.
I'm not familiar with it, so it's definitely something I want to check out. Yeah. So one of the bands that I've come across, now this one I came across several months ago, and I've kind of listened to them here and there throughout. And it's definitely a band I want to start collecting their material. I don't have any of it yet. It's a German band. They started in 2011. I kind of call them like a blend of psychedelic Black Sabbath, pinch of Jethro Tull, pinch of anything you can imagine, but it's very Sabbath-esque in terms of style, I think. But it's got a female singer. They do sing in English, but they do have some German songs too. Mm-hmm. And when I listen to them, it's just that Sabbath vibe, that early Sabbath vibe I get from them that I really, really dig. And being a newer band, obviously they can put a little bit more other influences to it, where Sabbath was the influence. They were the beginning. So now they can kind of blend Sabbath with all this other stuff. And I think they're doing a really good job about it. But the band's called Wucan, or Wucan. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Wucan is how I pronounce it. Wucan sounds too much like Toucan Sam. But it could be that. Wucan, like I said, German band. They've been around for about 12 years, 13 years now.
Yeah. How many albums do they have?
I don't really know. I've only been listening to their most recent album.
Yeah, when did that come out?
Hold on, let me...
These are all the questions that Ian should probably look up.
I should have had... 2022, it's their newest album, and it's called Heretic Tongues.
And they've got 4 studio albums?
It looks like 4 studio albums, yep.
I'll check them out.
Yeah, I really like them. Like I said, if you don't like songs sung in other languages, there's going to be songs you don't like, but, I'm one of those people. I've come to find that a lot of, bands that aren't American are really starting to bring a lot of stuff to the table, and probably always have, and they're just because we get caught in this American mindset, we don't necessarily see it.
I will say that a lot of people over the last several years have been talking about how rock music is dead. Rock music is very, very, very alive, and a lot of that stuff is coming from Europe.
Europe, exactly. So, I think they're definitely a band that people on the channel and definitely people in our Facebook group would probably like if they haven't heard of them, and probably
I'll check them out.
Yeah, definitely check them out.
Another artist I just recently got into, actually within the last couple of weeks, is a band called Måneskin. They're an Italian hard rock band. You actually probably would like them if you check them out.
Yeah, I haven't heard of them yet.
So they're an Italian heavy metal band. The title of the band is actually a Danish word meaning moonlight. I think the bass player is Danish. But anyway, it's funny because over like a 3 or 4 week period, because their most recent album, Rush, just came out January 20th, I think. But like the 3 or 4 weeks leading up to it, I kept seeing Måneskin stuff everywhere, like all over social media. And it was one of those things where it kind of caught me kind of off guard, because you don't really see that from a lot of, especially like newer bands. You don't see a lot of that stuff kind of pop up pretty regularly like that. So I was putting my new release video together for the 20th, and I started kind of listening to some of their stuff. And they've got 3 studio albums out right now, and all 3 of them are actually really, really good. Like I said, if you're a fan of heavy metal, hard rock, I think it's definitely worth checking out.
Which you're not typically. So
exactly.
If you enjoy them,
exactly,
there might be like a cross genre appeal to them.
No, they're a really good band.
I'm gonna have to check them out. So this next one, I really only started listening to this within the last couple weeks, and then it really blew up. They released a single today, which is kind of ironic, but this band actually goes back to our Life in General days, when we did an episode about new rock bands. I think we've done something on this show too, but the one that I remember this band being on my list when we did.
And if you don't know what Life in General is, I had a podcast for like 6 years.
Right. It was the podcast days. So I remember having this band on my list as a band to check out. And I kind of never really did, and until about a couple weeks ago. And I started just because I get bored and I just scan through Spotify and just see what's, what band's like this, what band's doing this, and see what's new releases and all that kind of stuff. And this band popped up I had them saved in my list. I was like, oh, let's give them a listen. Rival Sun is the name of the band. And they really have kind of a new, there's a Greta Van Fleet element to their music. So it's kind of like classic rock element sound to it. But they've been out since 2009, so they kind of even predate Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
So maybe Greta Van Fleet was influenced by them. Who knows? But they have a new album coming out. It's called Lightbringer. I know nothing about that. Actually, they have 2 new albums coming out.
Both of them this year?
Both this year. Dark Fighter and Lightbringer. I just listened to the single off their new album, or the single that was released today. It's really good. I think you'll like it a lot. Yeah. Like I said, it's got a very...
Is it just like straight up rock?
Yeah, kind of straight up rock, with classic rock elements to it.
Like 70s arena rock, or like
in the same way that Greta Van Fleet is kind of they're pushing it forward, but you can sometimes
you can definitely see where they're heavily influenced by that.
You catch the right moment in a song. You're like, oh my god, was that recorded in 1973?
Gotcha.
But
that's cool.
That kind of a thing. So yeah, Rival Sons, check them out. Again, I'm still kind of they're growing on me. I'm still getting into them, but so far I'm really digging what I'm like, what I'm listening to.
So this is probably going back to, the next album I'm going to talk about came out in June, I think, of last year. So it was probably July or August. I was out at the record store. Actually, it was me and my wife that were out. And we'd gone to this record store up in Royal Oak, Michigan that I haven't been to in a very long time. And we're just kind of browsing through records. And the song comes on overhead. And then instantly I was like, okay, I got to find out who this is. And I was really kind of drawn in by that track, and this is actually a really, really good album. The artist is Beach Bunny. The album is called Emotional Creature. It's a female musician, female fronted band. It's just kind of straightforward rock music, but it's really, really, really good. It's something that I wasn't really expecting, especially from a newer band. I think this is their second album. The first album came out in I think 2020 or 2019. Like I said, this one came out in June, July last year. And moving forward, I'm really kind of interested to see how they kind of progress in their sound overall. But it's an album that, I haven't listened to it a whole lot since I've gotten it, but I've streamed the album a bunch of times. Like I said, if you're looking for just kind of straightforward rock music, this is a really good one. So if along the lines of Pretty Reckless, I think is another band out there that's really kind of doing a great female-fronted rock sound, kind of right up the alley with that.
So my last one is a band that actually has been around for 22 years. They started in 1999. It's the band The Pineapple Thief. I don't think I'd ever heard of them until maybe about 5 to 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that the name of that band just kind of was like, Pineapple Thief. It didn't catch me. It didn't grab me. But again, it's kind of like with the other bands, I was going through just kind of trying to find stuff, and I was like, oh, what the heck? I'll just give them a shot. And I guess they're labeled as a progressive rock, and I hear that in there, but it's not like that overblown progressive rock that you would get from like an Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or even like a Dream Theater. It's a little bit more subdued, more like a Porcupine Tree element to it.
Okay.
Early Porcupine Tree though, not the newer stuff.
Good, because I didn't like their new album, but
the new stuff I like. Steve Wilson's last solo album was questionable.
Yeah.
But the new Porcupine Tree stuff's pretty good. But this is kind of like more in tune with like their oldest. It's nothing like Porcupine Tree, but if you had to compare it to something, that would be
okay.
It'd be more like that. But again, I've only really kind of started listening to these guys maybe about 4 weeks ago. So I'm still really kind of getting into them a little bit, but I think this is another band that I'm going to be getting their collection.
Yeah. Because
I've liked everything I've listened to, because I've been kind of doing like a couple songs off this album, a couple songs off that album, and I haven't heard a song I didn't like yet. So I think this is going to be a band for this year, and they just released an album in 2022. So I have not listened to anything off of that yet, but that's Pineapple Thief is a band I think is going to probably end up in my group of favorites.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Like I said in the beginning, make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know what some of your favorite newer bands are that you're getting into, that you're just discovering. Because I'm always looking for some cool stuff to check out. But let us know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.